Hey guys, what's up? And welcome back to Quality Shot Tennis. Today we've got the final in Delray Beach. We've got Taylor Fritz taking on Tommy Paul, All-American final. One sec, I say I'm missing the scoreboard here. Let me get the scoreboard. Let me get the scoreboard up working. What's up, guys? What's up, guys? What's up, guys? This was a final that was supposed to happen yesterday, and it got postponed due to bad weather, rain delay. So that got postponed. Hopefully the scoreboard's showing up. Hey, what's up, Manor? What's up? What's up? Good to have you in here. What's up, MJ? What's up? What's up? Tommy Paul leads the head-to-head 2-1. They are currently warming up. Fritz is warming up overheads. We've got the All-American final in Florida, in Delray Beach. The rain is not going to keep us away, not this time. Appreciate everybody who watched the stream for the Rotterdam final yesterday between Sinner and Demonor. That was fun. I love that one. That was fun. Enjoyed it. Always fun to watch a high-level final like that and a Yannick Sinner final. Both of those guys will have career high rankings, but this is going to be a good fun as well. with Taylor Fritz climbing back into the top 10, which is so good for him. And Tommy Paul having some of his best results. He could win his second consecutive title. He won a title in Dallas, so we could have a second consecutive title for Tommy Paul. They're currently warming up serves. I still think Tommy Paul is like always underrated. Great athlete, great talent. You know, he's never put up there with the other Americans, but he's right up there for sure. So we're going to see what all happens. I think the forehands in this match are going to be very important. You know, Paul's been hitting that forehand amazing, so Fritz is going to have to really step up his game and match that. And you know, we'll see what happens. Both these guys got good, solid serves, but good games. I hope no one will vomit this time. Yeah, yeah, Maynor, for sure. Yeah, you know, you might see a lot of different variety in that play from Tommy Paul, and you know, sometimes Tommy Paul pushes his opponents to show like variety themselves and be creative, and I'm not sure Taylor Fritz always has that. So, yeah, Tommy Paul beat Fritz in Acapulco. He's beaten them two of the 3 times they've played. Actually, if you count challengers and futures, then he's actually 4-3 in the head-to-head, so he's winning anyway. So, you know, Tommy Paul has beaten Fritz before. I've got Tommy Paul winning. I've got Tommy Paul winning a second consecutive victory. By the way, they're showing Morgan in the crowd watching on like always. You know, I got Tommy Paul. I got Paul in. I got Paul in 3 sets. Let me know your predictions. I got Paul in 3 sets. Yeah, I know on vomit as well. I like to show yesterday that the post-spook Fritz Maynor. I don't know if you heard me yesterday, but post-spook Fritz is the opposite post-spook center. When Fritz vomited and after that, his whole year basically got destroyed. I mean, he still, you know, lost Indian Wells, Miami, playing on the quarterfinals to Alcaraz and Sinner, so that wasn't so bad. Monte Carlo's semifinals, I believe. So he still had some good results, but for the most part, he fell apart after that. All right, 0-0. Fritz going to serve first. What's up, Sean? Do you remember a few weeks ago we all put Tommy Paul bottom in Americans most likely to get slammed? Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Sean. I was like, I can't believe this now. I totally can't believe this now. It's so crazy. So crazy. Because even last week he climbed up so high, so fast on my list for American players. Like I literally I made a video like ranking Americans. I was like, Paul's the last, and then he started, you know, playing some of the best tennis I've ever seen him play, and I'm like, okay, well, there's some capabilities here that I didn't quite process before. Like, okay, this guy can play, huh? This guy can do some athletic moves. This guy can hit some big forehands. It's like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, I don't know. He can do something. I think a hard court major final is far in his reach. So, Fritz, 15 love here. Serve, second serve. Back in Paul. Back in Fritz. Back in Paul. Forehand Fritz. Forehand to Paul. Forehand to Fritz. Forehand, forehand Fritz. Forehand to Paul. Again to the forehand to Fritz. More attackable. That goes deep. Forehand, the forehand of Paul on the run. The backhand of Fritz. Cross court. Backhand Paul on the run. Oh, cross court. That goes out though. Goes wide. 30 love for Taylor Fritz. Let's go, Taylor. My boy Taylor. See what we can do. My boy Taylor, see what we can do. Tommy heard your video and told you personally. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It was like, no, I'm the best. I'm actually the best. I'm actually the best. It was like, what did Anthony say? I got to win 2 consecutive titles. I got to start winning more. Very good for Paul, by the way, especially because he wasn't able to defend his Australian Open semifinals, but he didn't get that discouraged. And look at the results he has now. Very, very good. I'm going to look at what Paul is in the live rankings. I mean, this is a guy who you conceivably could reach the top 10 at some point. I don't know about particularly soon, but he's still far. He's on number 14 in the world. He's pretty far behind number 13, which is Dimitra, which kind of makes sense. He's at if he wins this tournament, he'll be at 2,460 points. He would still be about, math isn't mathing. Math is not mathing. 465 points. So Fritz gets the hold, by the way, 1-0. Let me know in the chat who's winning this match, Fritz or Paul. Who's winning, Fritz or Paul? For me, Tiafoe's worst American. Yeah, for me, he's the worst of the top 5 as well. I would agree with that. He's kind of fallen away recently. I mean, he did very well from like US Open to like Stuttgart last year, where he would surprise me with his level, but I kind of I'm worried for Tiafoe. I just don't think. Yeah, I don't know. In the top 30, okay. So even Christopher Eubanks would be above him. Interesting. My boy Chrissy. Yeah, I know. I mean, I understand that, to be honest. Forehand that goes out back into Paul. Love 15. Love 15. I get that. I'm not that high on Big Foe either. I think he's underrated in some ways. I think he has some strengths that are underrated, but I don't think he's underrated at all. I think we'll see. He proved me wrong at the US Open with how well he can do in a single tournament. So never know. But I'm not that high on Big Foe either. Backhand Fritz, cross court, backhand volley, lob way up high. Paul runs back, retrieves the lob, forehand inside out. It's a great neutralizer. Forehand inside in. Oh, Tommy Paul, the skills. 15 all. 15 all. Tommy Paul gets that point. 15-15. What's up, guys? How are you guys doing in the chat? Let me know in one word. How are you feeling in the chat? Or what's going on in your life? Let me know in one word in the chat. It's a good forehand there from Paul. Line to serve. $30-15 here. Serve here from Paul. That's in the net. Double fault. 30-30. 30 all. 30 all. For me, my word is tired. I would say tired. I would say tired, but we're getting it done. We're getting through it. Had a big day yesterday. Didn't get to sleep until pretty late. And I woke up fairly recently, to be honest. But up for the call to do this one. Forehand down the line. That goes wide. So 40-30 for Paul. That was a chance for Fritz to get a break point. It's an opportunity for Fritz to get a break point, but not quite. Not quite. Serve here from Tommy. Serve down T4 and Fritz. That's a let. Second serve coming here. By the way, guys, I see I'm lagging up. Sorry about that. I only just kind of noticed. I'm going to, after this game ends, I'm going to try to improve that image quality so that that's improved. That goes out from Paul, so it's deuce. Actually, guys, I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to jump off real quick, then I'm going to jump back on, and hopefully that improves the quality real quick. All right, hey guys, sorry about that. Back for the call for this one. Let me get the scoreboard on. Hopefully I'm showing up clear. I tried to fix something up here. Hopefully I'm showing up a little bit clearer. Hey, what's up, Powell? Good to have you in here. Let me see how I'm showing up on stream. Forehand, that goes out from Paul, 40-15. Let me see how I'm showing up on the stream. Okay, I think it's a little bit better now. I think it's a little bit better, which is good. Hopefully that keeps kind of improving. Two one here for Taylor Fritz, though. 2-1 for Fritz. Like I said, these two guys have played 3 times before. Let me pull up their head-to-head real quick, because they played a crazy match in Acapulco yesterday. It was one of the matches that I remembered the most from last year when it ended. I was like, man, that one was crazy. I mean, it was one of those chaotic matches where crazy things just kept on happening, and it kind of capitalized with, after 3 hours and 25 minutes played, Taylor Fritz just threw up into on the side of the court in the third set tiebreaker. So it was a real war of attrition. Obviously, these two have played in like some challengers, some challengers and futures tournaments, because they're both American players. They come from similar backgrounds in some ways. So the first tour level match that they ever played, St. Petersburg Open in October 2021. Tommy Paul was unseeded. Taylor Fritz was the 5th seed. Indoor hard courts. Fritz was already very good at this time. He made a step up the next year, but he was already very good here. 7-6, 6-3 for Fritz. He wins. Then they played in Stockholm a couple weeks later, and Tommy Paul won 6-4, 6-4. Then they played in Miami the next year. Fritz always plays well at Sunshine Double. Fritz won 7-6, 6-4. Then they played in Acapulco, and the score was 6-3, 6-7, 7-6 for Tommy Paul, with some great shot making there as well. Not the highest level throughout that match in Acapulco, but really entertaining. The entertainment value and unpredictability factor, it was high. By the way, that same BMW on the side of the court is still lurking around, so that's what that is. Yeah, what's up, Powell? Forehand into forehand of Taylor, forehand of Paul. The backhand of Fritz, backhand of Paul. The forehand of Fritz, forehand of Paul. The backhand of Fritz, backhand Paul, cross court to the backhand of Fritz, backhand Paul. The backhand of Fritz, again the backhand of Paul. Forehand of Fritz, backhand Paul. The backhand of Fritz, forehand Paul. The forehand of Fritz, backhand Paul. Backhand Fritz comes net. Oh, what a volley from Fritz. I always say this guy's underrated in skill. As long as he keeps improving, he's gonna keep getting quite good. The Australian Open was maybe the best I've ever seen Taylor Fritz play. I'll be honest. Against Tsitsipas and against Djokovic, might be the best I've ever seen Fritz play. In fact, I would say it is. Previously, the best I'd ever seen him play was strictly at Indian Wells, also Wimbledon in 2022. I thought he played quite well. ATP Finals that same year, I thought he played quite well. Played a great match against Djokovic there. Lost in 2 tiebreakers, but well, I'll talk more about that. But serve here from Paul, second serve. Kick serve. Backhand Fritz, that's in the net. That's a bad backhand error from Taylor Fritz. I still feel like Fritz is finding the consistent form, point in, point out, match in, match out. He's figuring it out. He's only just getting to his best level. But I'll tell you what, Fritz's level at the Australian Open was very, very, very encouraging. He did some stuff against Novak that nobody's ever done. Nobody ever saved 15 of the first 15 break points faced in the match against Djokovic. That's never, ever happened. And he earned a lot of them. Like, he played fantastic. Can't remember the exact game, but it was the second set. It was like 3-4, I think, in the second set, something, before he'd win the second set 6-4. It went like 4 hours. So it's a great match. And for the best side, the first time I really got really high on Taylor Fritz and thought he played fantastic was against Yannick Sinner at Indian Wells in 2021. Not the year that he won Indian Wells, but the year after. By the way, once again, 30-15 and Tommy Paul double faults. Deja vu. Second double fault for Tommy Paul, 30-all. Let's see if he is able to escape again. 30-all in his first service game. Fritz made a poor error. Let's see if he escapes here. But yeah, he played a match against Yannick Sinner, quarterfinals of Indian Wells in 2021. And, I was expecting Yannick to, to play well, do well, get the win. He was the higher ranked player. He was close to the top 10. Fritz was like number 30 in the world. And I knew about both guys pretty well, but Fritz plays out of his mind. I thought he played like top 5, top 10 level, to be honest. So Fritz always maximizes in Indian Wells. Obviously, the year after, he'd play amazing there as well. But at Australian Open this year, I really think it's the best I've ever seen him play. Forehand of Fritz, the forehand of Paul. Backhand of Fritz, up to the forehand of Paul. Forehand Fritz, hits through the court to the forehand of Paul. Forehand. Forehand Paul on the defense, chipped, low, backhand. Forehand Fritz, forehand of Paul, that's in the net. 30-40, we got the first break point in the match. First break point of the match. Hey, what's up, Lexi? Good luck to Taylor. Yeah, good luck, Taylor. I agree. He's got break point. Let's see what he can do, Taylor. See what Taylor can do. Paul is in a bit of trouble with Taylor. Taylor test him out. Taylor's testing him out. Once again, I'd like to improve the video quality here. It's just something with my connection. I'll see if I'm able to do that. But it's 30-40 here. Big point here for Paul early. He's been serving well, but that's the first serve in the net. Second serve. Kick serve, back into Fritz. Forehand to Paul. That shank, 3-1 for Taylor. Fritz gets the first break of the match. 3-1. This final was supposed to be played yesterday. I'm sure it's a little bit weird for the players that's not, but. By the way, Paul talking to the umpire about something. I'm not sure what. Okay, yeah. So the umpire called time violation on Tommy Paul, and Paul was frustrated with it. The umpire said, if that clock gets to 0, there's nothing I can do. You're out of time. So I guess that's what that is. Playing against Fritz and the clock. Elsa frozen. Yeah. I'm going to try to improve that. So that's a better watch, the stream. Serve from Fritz. That's in the net. I'll jump off after this game, and hopefully I can find a way to improve this image quality. Because I don't want it to be like this throughout the stream. That would be unfortunate. Forehand Paul. That goes out. 15 love. Fritz is the better player so far. He's definitely the better server so far. So that's going to be a big thing in the match for sure, the serve. I did feel like Paul has been serving so well in Dallas and here as well, but Fritz is the better server in general. Serve from Taylor. Wide backhand. Paul return. Forehand cross court. Forehand for Paul. That goes out off the forehand of Fritz. 15-all. 15-all. It's the highs and lows of Fritz's game. The highs and lows of Tommy Paul as well. These guys, their highs are very high, but their lows can also be a bit unfortunate. But they're both at a high right now in this final. Fritz, I believe, trying to win his first title since Atlanta. Paul trying to win his first title since about 4 days ago. So when he won the title in Dallas. 15-all. Anthony, honey, you're frozen. Yep, I know that. I will try to fix that after this game. You going for Tommy for sure? No. Listen, I got Taylor. I have to go for Taylor because I met him in Atlanta. A couple of times, by the way. So it was like, Jesus. Well, kind of like I passed by him and he saw me like once, and then the other time I got to kind of interview him. So I got to go for Taylor. Also, I got to go for Taylor. 30-15. Serve here from Fritz. To Paul. Serve from Fritz. Come on. See what he can do. Fritz serve. First serve. Paul ready to defend. Can he get something going? So far, Fritz has firmly the momentum. Serve from Fritz. Kick serve. The backhand of Paul. Backhand of Fritz. The backhand of Paul. Backhand Fritz. The backhand of Paul. Forehand Fritz. The backhand of Paul. Backhand Fritz. Oh, backhand Paul. He gets it. No, it goes wide. 40-15. 40-15. Once again, I can see that I'm frozen on stream. I will try to fix that. I will try to fix that so that this isn't like a podcast, you know. This isn't like, I mean, that's fine, I guess, but I'd rather have the image quality to be working. I think that's best for the channel, so I'll try to fix that up. $40-15 here. Paul ready to return serve. Serve from Fritz. The back into Paul. Back into Fritz. Forehand to Paul. It's the tape. Goes back to the side. All right, guys. I'm going to try to do something real quick. So let's see. I don't think the stream has improved at all. So I'm going to... Gonna jump off to improve the quality of the stream and how it's showing up real quick. Then I'm gonna jump back on. Hopefully it improves. I think it will. All right, I see I've unfrozen, but I don't think the quality has gotten that much better. Let me see actually though. No, it's not that much better. All right, I'm gonna jump off real quick though. I'll be right back. I'm gonna be right back. I think this will improve the quality. All right, guys, I'm back for the call. Hopefully that improves things. Here we go. Let me get the scoreboard up. All right. Hopefully this improves it. Hopefully I'm not coming in blurry. Whenever I say that, I always think of Mitch Hedberg. Anybody seen Mitch Hedberg? The bit about you know, Bigfoot is actually blurry. That's the problem. Anybody seen that? Something about streaming Paul makes computers freezing. First David, now yours. Yeah, I think so. Let me see. Am I showing up better? Okay, I finally shown up better. Image is clearer. That's good. Image is clearer. Fritz loves Delray Beach. He won here twice. Yes, exactly. He won here last year as well. He's the defending champion. Yeah, good point. I think Paul should win 3, but I don't know. I've got Tommy Paul winning in 3 sets as well. So I've got Paul winning in 3 sets. That's what I think will happen. I'm going to try something out. And then hopefully this doesn't decrease the stream quality as well. But okay. So far, everything's looking good. So far, so good. All right, 15 all here for Paul serving. Nothing crazy so far happening. The level hasn't been insane from either guy. Tommy Paul is not playing at his best so far, which is really what there's a few kind of boring points every now and again, letting Fritz into a couple too many of the service giving him chances, not getting enough first serves in. And now Fritz is in this position. But let's see if Paul can kind of raise his level. And then I think he should have his chance. It's just the level hasn't really been there that high from either guy, but especially from Paul. That forehand goes well wide. 30-15. So far been fairly low level, to be honest. But we'll see how it keeps kind of improving. Serve here from Tommy. By the way, Paul looking for his the third title of his career after Dallas and I believe Stockholm a few years ago. Be so good for Paul. He had only won one title before about, a week ago. And then he would have three titles in his bank. That'd be very, very weird. Very interesting. By the way, also, Dallas final was the first All-American final since September of 2022, which is like such a long period of time for there not to be an All-American final. There are so many tournaments throughout the year, so many tournaments in the United States. Unheard of for there to be that long of a span of time without an All-American final. And Dallas final was the first that was an All-American final since then. And now for the second week in a row, we've had an All-American final. So I thought that was quite funny as well. 4-2, Fritz shot goes into the net. We got 4-2. Fritz cooking. Yeah, that's it, Harshil. Any thoughts on Tiafoe decline? Well, my thoughts are we've seen it before, but just in a lesser aspect. Tiafoe, I remember quite clearly. I remember seeing a video of Tiafoe as a junior player, right? He was like 18 or 19 in the world. The video's still on YouTube. And Tiafoe goes, I'm going to be the best player in the world. I'm going to be number one in the world. And I watched some highlights of him. I was like, wow, this guy is talented. He can hit some pretty skillful shots. He can hit some big forehands. Like, I'll keep an eye on him. And then he climbed into the top 30 in the world pretty quickly. Had a great run to the quarterfinals in Australian Open. I was like, okay, well, this guy's going to keep rising up. And then he got to 29 in the world. And then for like 2 years, he just completely lost his level and dropped down to like 50 or 60 in the world or something. So it's not like we haven't seen this before. This just at a higher level. But by the way, great rally here. Forehand rally, forehand Fritz. Forehand to Paul, backhand Fritz. Backhand Paul. Forehand Fritz, inside in, forehand to Paul, long rally, by far the longest of the match. Backhand for Paul. Oh, what a slice forehand. Fritz, he defends it. Forehand inside out, backhand Fritz. Oh, that goes out. Great rally from back the court. Both these guys are going to be very hesitant, or Fritz is going to be very hesitant, I should say, to come to net. Tommy Paul will be less hesitant to come to net, but he was a little bit hesitant in that rally. Love 15 here. Let's see if Paul can get the break back. But, Tiafoe, so we've seen that before where he climbs up and then he kind of falls back. But, after kind of the low kind of form that he had for that period, I was surprised by the run that he pulled at the U.S. Open and how well he played from about the U.S. Open to Wimbledon last year. It was a very good kind of run of form. So we'll see if he gets it back, but I'm a little bit worried for him. I'm not going to lie. Mentally, his game, it's very hard, I think. He really needs to maximize the most out of his game, I think, to be honest. It's not an ideal game, in my opinion. Backhand of Paul, the forehand of Fritz. Forehand of Paul, the forehand of Fritz. That's in the net, love 30. And a lot of these American players are kind of passing him. A lot of players are passing him. But, he's got quick foot speed. He's underrated that way. He can fight well through matches. And he's got big forehands. Like I said, he is very talented, but I am worried. I kind of think he's reached the highest heights that he's going to reach. So those are kind of my thoughts on the big foe. A Demonor with glasses. Yeah, no, I know. That's what everybody's been saying. It's not just on here, too. It's on Twitter. I was watching the center Demonor, and everybody in the chat was saying it, Maynor. I mean, you must have seen it. It was like, Jesus. Or a lot of people were. Not everyone, but. Forehand of Paul, the forehand of Fritz, forehand of Paul, the backhand of Fritz, the backhand of Paul, the backhand of Fritz, backhand slice of Paul, the backhand of Fritz sliced, the backhand of Paul, the forehand of Fritz, the forehand of Paul, the forehand of Fritz. That goes out, love 40, 3 break points, 3 break points. Three break points. Appreciate everyone who's joined in. Appreciate Harshil, Maynor, Lexi. Appreciate everyone who's joined in so far. 3 break points for Tommy Paul. Up till about 4-1, we didn't really have a great match yet. Now it feels like it's picking up a little bit with Paul's level rising. Backhand down the line. That's a good backhand from Fritz, 1540. He was hitting that backhand as good as I've ever seen him at the Australian Open. He really was. That backhand, especially against Tsitsipas, but against Djokovic as well. He needs it against Djokovic, and he made it pretty close. He was hitting that backhand as good as I've seen him, so we'll see if that pays dividends in this match. It's very windy, by the way. Very windy. Delray Beach, outdoor hardcourt tournament. We've got an outdoor hardcourt tournament in the States. We've got a clay tournament in Argentina and South America. We've got a indoor hardcourt tournament in Rotterdam. We've got everything that you want. From US to Netherlands to freaking Argentina. Like, what else do you want? All surfaces as well. Backhand. Way up high. Paul, he had the forehand to break. What was Paul doing there? Tommy just playing around. That was a bit of an awkward shot. Fritz's shot was a backhand that landed very short in the court, kind of at an angle. Paul was determined to hit a forehand there. Had Paul hit a backhand, I honestly think he would have had a winner across court, or just a winner, or at least would have won that point. He goes for the forehand. He still should have won the point, but he shanks it. Just got too close to him. Didn't get out. Didn't make space with the ball. That was kind of weirdly kind of slicing towards him, or backhand in the court, forehand to Fritz, the forehand to Paul, cross court, forehand to Fritz, volley. Paul runs, he gets there, but it's in the net. Deuce. Remember both of those points, man, especially the 1540 point. We're at deuce. Fritz saves 3 break points. Remember, this is the story that happened against Djokovic in the Australian Open. And you know what? Fritz is great, but he's no Djokovic. Or sorry, Paul is great, but he's no Djokovic. Fritz is great, but he's no Djokovic. Paul is great, but he's no Djokovic. And he's going to be saving break points, Fritz, if it's anything like that match. Deuce here, serve from Fritz, out wide, forehand to Paul. The forehand to Fritz, the forehand to Paul. The forehand to Fritz, cross court, forehand to Paul, forehand to Fritz. The forehand to Paul, backhand now. To the backhand, backhand rally. Backhand sliced. Backhand again to that backhand to Paul. Fritz, backhand on defense now. Back to the backhand again. Drop shot. Oh, he misses it wide, though. Very nervy play from Paul here. After, having good chances. By the way, let me tell you both of these guys' finals records, because I think they're both pretty interesting, to be honest. So, Tommy Paul, this is his 5th final of his career. He won in Stockholm in 2021. Then he lost a couple finals in 2023 on the grass in Eastbourne and at Acapulco to De Minaur this time last year. This is his 5th final, and then he just won in Dallas this year. That's a good hold from Fritz with advantage. Serve out wide. That serve from Fritz, that's going to pay dividends in this match. That serve from Fritz. Big dividends. Big dividends. 5-2. 5-2. You guys are not similar. You're way hotter. Well, I appreciate it. Honestly, Tiafoe gameplay is pretty mid for me. He really has nothing unique to offer besides pumping the crowd. Looking like Shelton stole it from him. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Fun fact, before his Argentina run, Diaz Acosta had only 4 main tour wins. This week, he won 5 in a row. That's crazy. Well, I'll tell you what. What's his name? Luciano Darderi, 21-year-old Italian qualifier. He had only won 1 ATP Tour main draw match, and then he won 8 in Argentina, in the Argentina Open, Buenos Aires. So 2 weeks in a row in the Golden Swing, we got crazy champions. I hope that doesn't deter people from liking the Golden Swing very much, because that doesn't happen all the time. Like where it's a kind of unknowns. I actually kind of like it. Usually it's at least clay guys you've heard of, like Sebastian Baez or, Carlos Alcaraz or, Nicolas Jarry or somebody, Ramos Vignolas, people you at least kind of have heard of, at least have seen play a whole lot. Diaz Acosta, I think he played against Taylor Fritz, though, if I'm not mistaken, first round of the Australian Open. He pushed Taylor to 5 sets, so I remember watching a lot of that match. I was like, Jesus, this guy is good. And, clay is his bread and butter. He was up 2-1 on Fritz, in fact. Fritz in that tournament would push Djokovic to the extreme, so you know he was good. By the way, here's a crazy stat for you. Taylor Fritz's finals record. Fritz has won his last 5 finals in a row. Taylor Fritz has won his last 5 finals in a row. Really, really crazy finals record from Taylor Fritz. He's won his last 5 finals in a row. Crazy. He lost his first 5. He lost 5 of his first 6 finals. Fritz lost 5 of his first 6 finals. He won a title in Eastbourne on the grass courts against Quarry in 2019. Then starting from Indian Wells 2022, where he beat Rafa in the final to win his first Masters, he's won 5 in a row. Eastbourne, his second in Eastbourne, or Indian Wells, second in Eastbourne, Tokyo, Delray Beach, Atlanta. Now he's looking for his third title second title, I believe, in Delray Beach. So there you go. 15 love here for Paul. So he lost his first 6 finals, and now he's won his last 5, which is pretty crazy. I don't know if Fritz is considered a next gen guy or whatever. He's somewhere in between, right? How old is Taylor? He's 26, 27. Taylor's 26. Yeah, 26, just turned 26 in October. So he's somewhere in between. If Matteo Berrettini, for example, is next gen, he's next gen. He's not that much older than a guy like Ugo Humbert or, Casper Ruud, one of those guys. He's not that much older. Tsitsipas, he's not that much older. But he's definitely got loads of time. Serve coming here from Tommy Paul, 30-15. Serve here from Tommy. Serve out wide. That goes long. Second serve. Serve. That's in the net. 30-all. And what's up, Ghosts? Tiafoe's in the valley at the moment. Let's not put him in the grave just yet. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Still got some faith in Big Foe. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It is that kind of thing where he went on a huge kind of great run of form, and then he's kind of dropped off. So, yeah, we'll see if he can find it back again. I'm not going to necessarily personally, back him to have a future as high as, let's say, Korda or even Fritz, for my personal opinion. But, yeah, we all have different opinions, and he's talented, so you can always do it. Since Shelton started to rise, Tiafoe fell. It's an interesting thing to look at. Yeah, I mean, people point to that U.S. Open match that they played in last year, but I really felt like Tiafoe started falling before that. I feel like that's a fun spectacle, but really, Tiafoe played a terrible match at Wimbledon against Dimitrov. Dimitrov played great, but Tiafoe played a horrible match. And really, around then, I felt like he started falling off. I mean, also in Toronto, he lost to Milos Raonic. I mean, his run of form was well before the U.S. Open. He had a good draw at the U.S. Open, reached the quarterfinals. He could only beat who he had in the draw ahead of him. But I felt like really it was at Stuttgart where when he reached the top 10 in the world, when he really started falling off. To me, it was like he reached the top 10 in the world, and then his run of form kind of ended there. We'll see if he gets it back again. But how many weeks did he spend in the top 10? Maybe he only spent 1 week in the top 10. It was only 2 or 3 maximum. Anyway. Be interesting to see who are the next guys to get into the top 10. All right, set point here for Taylor Fritz. Paul it's not been an ideal serving set. Paul serve, kick serve, back into Fritz, the back into Paul. The back into Fritz, forehand to Paul. See if he can save it. Back in Fritz. Forehand Paul again attacking that backhand. Back into Fritz, sliced. Deep in the court. It's a good shot. That goes out. 6-2 for Taylor Fritz. Fritz coming in here with something to prove. Fritz is a good finals player now. I tell you what, 2022 and onwards, when Fritz has been on his 0 in finals. That counts for something since 2022. So that counts for something. By the way, the last final that he lost was against Marin Cilic at St. Petersburg in 3 sets. Fritz beat Paul in that tournament. He also lost to Rafa at the Mexican Open. But listen, that was already 2020. I mean, St. Petersburg Open, that was late 2021. That's really the only kind of final that he's played that he's lost whenever he's been a top 40 player. So Fritz knows how to play in finals. He's done very well. In fact, all of his finals have been close, though, Taylor Fritz. Like against Maxime Cressy in Eastbourne, he won 6-2, 6-7, 7-6. Against Tiafo, it was 2 tiebreakers. Against Rafa and Indian Wells, 6-3, 7-6. Against it was 7-6-2. And Vukic 5-6-7-6-4. Vukic was playing fantastic. So yeah. Anyway, we'll see how Fritz is in the finals. This year, Sixers won the first Mentor title. This year, we already have 4. Wow. You know who's that? 4 already. Yes, that's the guys. Gary and Diaz Costa. Who else is it? Drew got to a final, but I don't think he won it. So I'm trying to think of who else are the new champions on the tour. I'm just waiting for Cosmar Echeverry to get it. Should get it all at some point. Eleanor Struve, David Fokina, Alex Molchan. I still think JJ Wolf could win a title. Marcos Giron. There's a few really good players that are going around the tour and they've never won a title. I think Davidovich Fokina is probably the most kind of surprising one, having already gone to a Masters final, major quarterfinal. We'll see. We'll see who's able to win their first title. Echeverry surely is going to win a title or 2 on clay courts. Alex Molchan, he's not in a good run of form, but he's just so good that I reckon that he's going to get a title at some point. He's also very surface versatile, so I hope he can figure it out. Medvedev, I think, could win a title. Luka Van Osh could win a title at some point. So Luka Van Osh, I think, is underrated. He's going to be a lot better, I think, than a lot of people are kind of like. He's getting overshadowed by Artur Feast, no doubt about it. So I think he's very good. He's just got a great game. He's got a fantastic backhand. His strokes look very repeatable. And, he's a very obviously talented kid. Even if it's not to the level of Artur Feast, which I don't think it is. But I don't want to compare the two. He's a great player in his own right, it seems like. And Medvedev ended the last season crazy with the title and title at the Next Gen Finals. And he's looking like he could win a title at some point. We'll see what happens. By the way, guys, don't forget to subscribe to QualityShot Tennis if you are new, if you're just joining in for more streams. And don't forget to like the stream as well if you're enjoying it. I'm sure a lot of you guys are already subbed to the channel. But yeah. Well, let's see if Fritz can keep this going, man. He's done for a final row. By the way, I told you about for Tommy Paul, but about Taylor. He's about 6 points behind Demonor for number 9 in the world. His career high rank is number 5 in the world, man. Title, Great Dicho title. What else? He won a few titles. And Tokyo, I believe, as well. That kind of kept him in the hunt in a top spot in the world. So I don't know if he's gonna get that top spot next year, but he could keep climbing up. Let's see if he's able to. Dang, I've seen that I've frozen a little bit on the stream again. I've seen I've frozen again. All right, guys. Sorry about the frozen image quality. If anything, hopefully you guys can kind of listen to it. But apologies for the image because I'm sure it's a better watch. Mukva only made 3 finals in her career. That's crazy to me. She played so well in the big events last year. That goes out. 15 left for Fritz. 1 in Seoul 2019, RG 2023 in Cincinnati. That's so crazy. Mukva is a player that should have won a big title last year. Most of Mukva's career is either because injury or coming back from injury. Yeah, Maynor. Her body is like giving up on her. So that's a big thing. I agree. Backhand cross court. That goes wide. 15 all. All right, guys. I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to jump off stream, then going to jump back on. And if the image doesn't improve after that, I think I'm just going to leave it. After this game, Fritz will serve. Probably will hold here. And then after this game, I'm going to try it one more time. Then whatever happens, happens. But I think it's my internet that has really kind of failed on me. Serve from Fritz. That goes out. Double fault. 15-30. Chance here for Tommy. Double fault. First double fault of the match. Tommy Paul's already had 4 double faults. One of those was crucial to the first break of the match in the first set. By the way, Fritz breaking to win the first set is always very good because that means he gets to serve first, and serving first is generally better. Forehand, cross court, the forehand of Paul, backhand Fritz. The backhand of Paul, cross court, backhand of Fritz. Backhand slice of Paul, backhand of Fritz. The backhand of Paul, that's in the net, 30 all. 30 all. But yeah, Mukova is crazy, man. I mean, listen, she has such a fun game style. I love her kind of all court, slice and dice, you know. RG, the points were so athletic. Mukova coming to net a lot, or, you know, doing these random things. And it was such entertaining points. I'd love to see Mukova back at the top of the game. I love that Samsonova is kind of back at the back doing well, because she's another player I really enjoy. And but most of all, I just hope Mukova is kind of healthy above anything. I hope Sakari finds it again too. She's been out of bad form, and obviously Ons Jabeur as well. That goes out from Paul. This has not been a good final from the side of Tommy Paul. Fritz has played like a good final. I'd give Taylor Fritz like a B+. And I'd give Tommy Paul like a C- or something. Like, it's not been a good final from his end. Maybe a D+. Like, it's not been good. Paul needs to up his level. Let's see if he can. I'd give him like a C-. I'd give Fritz like a B+. It's not been great, but Fritz doing just enough to kind of forge the lead. I'll look at the stats after this. Let's see if Paul can raise his level. Serve from Fritz. Kick serve. The forehand of Paul. Forehand of Fritz. Forehand of Paul. On the defense, forehand of Fritz. Forehand of Paul. Forehand of Fritz. Forehand of Paul. Forehand rally. Or is it going to go down the line? He does, Paul, to the backhand. Backhand Paul. And the backhand Fritz. Backhand Paul sliced. Fritz is just getting so many looks at forehands. He's dictating. Backhand, that's into the net. That backhand is into the net, deuce. If Paul can find more ways to get it to that backhand, the better. I think Paul needs to come to net more. I think Tommy Paul needs to come to net more. And then hopefully he can get some of those volleys over to the backhand and control it, you know. But he needs to find ways to stop Fritz from running around the backhand, hitting forehands like he's doing at the moment. Because Fritz is the one dictating from the back of the court. And that's a big thing, like I said earlier in the match. I think whoever's winning these forehand rallies, I think is going to be the biggest thing in this match. Fritz is going to be the better server. And but can Paul get chances on the Fritz serve? And how are they doing in forehand rallies? I think those are two of the biggest things. Backhand to backhand, both of them aren't that solid, you know, compared to the regular guy. So regular top 10, top 15 guy. Forehand of, serve of Fritz at advantage. Kick serve, backhand of Paul. The forehand of Fritz down the middle. Forehand Paul into that backhand. Fritz doing well to about neutralize off the backhand, though. Backhand, that goes out. 1-0 for Fritz. Maybe I'd go Fritz from a B+ to A-. He's doing pretty well. He's doing well when it's getting tight. He's doing well when it's getting tight, which is good. Okay, I see the quality has improved on the stream, which is great news. Do they still have the car in the middle of the court? Yeah. Well, not in the middle of the court. That would be awesome. You know, obstacle tennis. That would be amazing. Put obstacles on the court. You have to jump over. You have to jump over. Make it a mix of long jump and tennis. That would be amazing. I don't like the car being in the corner, but if it was on the middle of the court and you have to literally like hop through the car to hit a forehand, you know, that would be amazing. That would be crazy. Somebody get that done. That's the next step. That's the next step for tennis. It would cost so many injuries. That would cost so many injuries. It's like when people talking about it having an ice surface. It's like, I want to see it, but also it's a terrible idea because it would cause a lot of problems. Forehand of Fritz, the forehand of Paul. That goes out. But yeah, they still have the car in that back corner. It used to be like that. Obstacles on the court, or what do you mean? Mukova and Keys are missing for me. Yeah, I miss Maddie Keys as well. She was a big miss at the Australian Open. Low key, Madison Keys like could have won the U.S. Open last year. At least got to the final. I mean, Coco was playing crazy, so but at least get to the final. She should have gone to the final. It was one poor service game. She played at 6-0, 5-4 up on Sabalenka in the semis there. Very poor service game. Aside from that, she played an absolutely ridiculous semifinal. She should have held her serve there. and got into the final. That would have been her second major final. And then since then, yeah, I don't know. I hope all these players can get healthy. There are too many injuries going around, especially for the WTA. And talk about a messed up WTA schedule. You have about 4 more WTA 1000s back to back to back at the WTA. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. I mean, listen, the ATP have a lot when it goes from like Indian Wells, Miami, then Monte Carlo. That's already a lot for the men's. But on the women's, you have Doha, Dubai, Indian Wells, and Miami pretty much back to back to back. Something needs to change there. Something needs to change there. It's like if we moved Cincinnati and Canada to the start of the season. You said, hey guys, let's play Indian Wells, Miami, Cincinnati, and Canada all back to back to back. Also, there's no variety there. It's all hard courts. That's not a good product. It's not a good product for it all to be hard courts. People are going to tune out at some point. Even the biggest fans are probably going to tune out at some point. They're just messing up these like incredible female athletes for no reason. So, serve from Paul. It's messed up. It's messed up. That's a good serve from Paul. 1-1. I think in 2021, someone kicked the car because it made him lose the point. Was it? Yeah. I always remember Medvedev kicking the camera at one of the tournaments. I think it was in Canada because it got in his way. I can't remember who kicked the car. I think Stefan Kozlov. I think it was Kozlov. I think he ran into the car. That's a guy who was supposed to be the next gen guy who takes over for the American guys, but he kind of fell off pretty early. Forehand, the back end of Fritz, 360. Fritz has really improved on defense. That's what made him a top 10 player. He improved on the speed. He improved on the defense. He's at least like half decent now. It's still not incredible, but he's a very skillful guy. He works hard. 15 love. I still got hopes for Taylor Fritz. I've always had a higher ceiling for Fritz than most people. Like, that's always been the case. Right before, I've got a true story. It sounds fake. I'll only say it because it's true. Some people, if I had a lot of people, listening, a lot of people wouldn't believe me, but it did happen. I have the screenshots to prove it, but I'll say it in a second. A prediction I made for Fritz that came true. Backhand of Paul, the forehand of Fritz. Down the middle, forehand of Paul. Backhand Fritz, cross court, the backhand of Paul. Backhand of Fritz, backhand rally. Fritz forehand. The forehand of Paul, that goes out. 30 love for Fritz. Fritz doing really well on serve. I'll look at the stats after this game. But okay, so Indian Wells Instagram account, right before Indian Wells Instagram account, right before Indian Wells 2022, they asked who are going to be the next 2 new Masters 1000 champions. I saw everybody having like the same answers. Yannick Sinner, Casper Ruud, like everybody had like similar answers, right? Whoever it was. Andre Rublev, etc. Backhand Fritz, the backhand of Paul. Forehand of Fritz, the backhand of Paul, backhand Fritz. The backhand of Paul, down the line. It's a great redirect. Forehand squash shot. Fritz gets it with great depth, too. What a squash shot. Backhand Paul, backhand slice of Fritz. Fritz is playing a great match now. Constant depth from him. Backhand cross court, backhand Fritz. Backhand slice, Fritz. Forehand of Paul. Long rally here. That goes out. Constant depth and great rallying from Taylor Fritz. And, you see tournament champions throughout the year. Like Taylor Fritz won Delray Beach Open, etc. And you kind of blank your mind to it, right? You're like, okay, well, he was the champion there, but it's points like that really earn you the trophy. It's points like that, and I know it's an ATP 250, but that's points like that earn you that trophy so that you can say, I won the Delray Beach Open. It's a point like that earns you it, and he's at 40 love. He's at 40 love. One big serve here, he's out. See if he does. He does. Serve, and that's a backhand return from Paul that goes long. Too much pace on it. 2-1 for Taylor Fritz. He's playing great now. But, okay, so I was saying, so the Indian Wells Instagram account, they asked, right before the tournament in 2022, they asked who are going to be the next 2 new Masters champions. Who are going to be the next new Masters champions? I thought about my list of players that I thought were going to win a Masters soon. And I realized that I had Taylor Fritz on there. And I was like, I want to say somebody that not everybody else is saying, but I believe it, And I said, I think Taylor Fritz is going to win a hardcourt Masters very soon, much quicker than a lot of people would predict him to win one. And then literally 2 weeks later, he wins Indian Wells. He wins Indian Wells. By the way, in a reply in my comment, I also said at the same moment, I said Carlos Alcaraz is the other obvious answer, but he's the biggest prospect for an all-time great player outside the big three. I have a screenshot of me saying both of those things literally weeks before before Indian Wells happened. So it was crazy. And, it was a couple weeks before. I predicted Fritz would be a hardcore match because I've always had the faith in Taylor Fritz. And it really came down to the fact that the last year Fritz reached the semifinals of Indian Wells. And, he played an incredible match against Jannik Sinner, top 10 Jannik Sinner, in the quarterfinals there. Beat him like 6-4, 6-3. I thought he was playing like a top 10, top 5 guy. I bookmarked that match. I was like, this is a guy who might win this tournament one day. This is a guy who's playing in front of his home crowd, and he played absolutely top 10, top 5 level. He was like 30 in the world at that point. And then, he reached his fourth round of a major early 2022 at the Australian Open, pushed Tsitsipas to 5 sets, was playing great. I was like, I think this guy is very good on hard courts. He could do it at Indian Wells or some hardcourt Masters. But yeah, that was a prediction that I made. But anyway. But yeah, Fritz is great. I'm always high on Fritz. This is a guy with a great serve, great forehand. His work ethic excites me, and I think he's more skillful than people give him credit for. He's a better athlete than people give him credit for, but it's really his kind of winner's mentality where he works hard for it, which I think is going to get him far. It's already gotten him to the top 5 in the world. If you put any stake on the ATP rankings, he's already been top 5. 15 love here love 15 here. Fritz. Fritz could really run away with this final. He's playing the far better tennis so far. Fritz the GOAT. Okay, Wilson tennis. Hell yeah, Taylor. Hell yeah, Taylor. Love 15, serve. Kick serve, that's in the net. Second serve. Second serve. Kick serve back into Fritz. That's in the net, 15 all. But it's like I'm always high on these guys that they might have obvious weaknesses, but as long as they're working hard, I believe that they can get it done at some point. And it doesn't always happen. But, I still think despite Fritz's weaknesses, his strengths are just so high. And he can play such a top-tier level of play that we've seen before. Even competing with the likes of Rafa, I reckon he could do something at some point. That is even much bigger than he's done to this point. I don't think that Indian Wells title was a one and done. That's my opinion, but we'll see. 30-15 here for Paul. We'll see if he can make this a more competitive second set. First set was not that competitive. He's got to get it to that back end more. He's got to play aggressive, come to that one. He's got to make more first. I don't know exactly. It's not a high first percentage. I'll look at it in a moment. I'll look at it after this game. Forehand Paul in the back end of Fritz. Forehand of Paul still trying to go to that backhand. Fritz is getting great depth off that backhand though. Backhand slice of Paul. Back to that backhand. Fritz, Paul, backhand. I don't know why Paul's staying back this much. Paul is just refusing to come to the net. 40-15. He's still up 40-15, but Paul is just refusing to come to the net. Fritz will beat Djokovic this year. Wilson, I love to hear it. I'm not going to recount that statement. I mean, he played such a good match against him in Australia. I even remember a match that Fritz played against Djokovic at the ATP Finals in 2022, where it was 2 tiebreaker sets, 2 close tiebreaker sets. I was like, at some point, Fritz might do something against one of these guys. He seems to be a fearless guy, always working hard. And, his backhand is looking as good as ever. I'm not going to just stick out that statement. I like the energy. Sunshine doubles predictions. Djokovic wins Indian Wells. My prediction is Djokovic beats Sinner in the final of Indian Wells. And my prediction is Sinner beats Alcaraz in the final of Miami. Rematch of last year. And I think Sinner beats him one more time. Again, those are my predictions. I think it's going to be the top 4 guys, though. I think it's going to be the top 4 guys. We'll see, though. But I'm going to say Djokovic beats Sinner in the final, if that is a possible final, which I think it could be. And, whatever. Djokovic wins, even if it's not against Sinner in the final. And I think that Sinner wins Miami. I also won't be surprised if Alcaraz finds it again in Miami, by the way. But I'm going to say Djokovic for Indian Wells, out a center for Miami. A forehand of Paul inside out to the backhand of Fritz. He's getting to that backhand more with some interest. That goes out. Big fist bump from Tommy Paul. That's what he needs to do. He's been hitting to that forehand, but not with to that backhand, but not with a lot of pace, not with a lot of depth. He needs to find a way to move forward in the court and get it to that backhand. Really test that backhand. It's one thing to kind of just rally over and hit it to Fritz's weak shot. It's another thing to get there with some pace. And that's what Tommy needs to do. My predictions, Fritz wins all of the titles this year. All of them. even the 250s. Okay. See what Taylor can do. Fritz wins the last 3 majors of the year, wins all 9 Masters. Gets a calendar Masters, whatever, calendar Masters slam or whatever. Let's see. Let's go, Taylor. Can Taylor do it? Win all 3 clay Masters. Roland Garros. Give him the Olympics as well at that point, surely. Let's see if he can win all the titles. That's a double fault from Fritz. Slightly, something happening here. 15-30. 15-30. Fritz slowest in top 10, but still go. Yeah, true, Wilson. Yeah, his speed, his defense, his backhand isn't incredible, but Djokovic pay referees at Australian Open. I don't know what you mean, Wilson, but he lost the Australian Open this year. 15-30. Serve from Fritz, second serve. Or you mean Fritz losing to Djokovic? That was a good match, though. Fritz tested him. That's a good forehand inside out, 30-all. 30-all. Serve from Fritz. Coming here. Big point. Big point. So far, Fritz is winning on these forehand rallies, and Paul is unable to get it to that backhand with interest consistently. That's part of why we're here. Forehand of Paul, the backhand of Fritz. The forehand of Paul, slice, the backhand of Fritz. Forehand of Paul, the backhand of Fritz, cross court, backhand of Paul. Forehand of Fritz, side in, forehand of Paul. Oh, massive. Finally giving the crowd something to cheer about. Paul with an absolutely massive forehand. One of the bigger forehands I've seen Paul hit. Probably nearly triple digits. I'll say that's like 95 miles an hour. Huge forehand there. And he just planted his feet and he just let it rip. And I'm not sure exactly how fast it was, but it was fast. It gets him to a break point. It gets him to a break point. We'll see what he can do in this game, in this break point. Fritz would love a big first serve. Kind of high percentage out wide. I don't love that first serve. Backhand of Paul. Oh, yeah, he had it. He missed into the top of the net. Very neutral shot. Very neutral ball, and he missed into the top of the net. Deuce. When he played Fritz, yeah, I got you. My prediction is that he won't drop a set for the rest of the year. Fritz. Okay. I mean, come on, man. Fritz won't drop a set for the rest of the year. See what Taylor can do, but see if he can at least win this title. That's funny, though. Serve from Taylor, second serve. Kick serve. Kick serve here. The backhand. That backhand of Paul is working a little bit better down the line. I've jinxed him, though. That's in the net. Advantage to Fritz. That was a bad prediction. He won't drop a point for the rest of the year. All right, well, we'll see. See what he can do. But in seriousness, I do wonder. I wonder what he will have this year, because he had a very poor year last year, did Fritz. So I wonder how he will kind of do, because he had a better Australian Open. He's having a better kind of tournament here. Forehand of Paul. He's attacking that backhand as well. It's a good backhand on defense from Fritz. Down the line, forehand of Fritz. Chipped. The backhand of Paul. Down cross court. The backhand of Paul. Down the line, forehand of Fritz. Squash shot. Forehand. Paul comes in. He gets it. Deuce. We're back at deuce. We are back at deuce. Paul doing well now. Paul has risen his level. He's raised his level. He's hitting that forehand better. He's hitting through that forehand. Fritz won't drop a set. I'll be the year-end number 1. It's realistic, Anthony. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Big Force, Djokovic, Nadal, Fed, and then Fritz. It's not. It's not. Maybe at some point. I want the I want Fritz to rise up in the rankings. But right now, he's not at it. Serve from Fritz down the line. Backhand's in top the tape. Advantage to Fritz. It is sad with the American guys just not being able to get one of these guys to be one of the top players. So it's just tough. Advantage for Fritz here. Fritz looking for a sixth win in a row in finals. He's played a good one so far. Paul hasn't really brought his best level, but Fritz has done very well so far, I would say. Done just enough. Back in cross court. Back to Paul down the line. Forehand squash shot. Paul forehand. He's not been able to be aggressive enough as Paul, I'll be honest. Paul has not been able to be aggressive enough. Fritz at deuce. Paul has not been able to break yet. I mean, listen, Paul has been close in a lot of these Fritz service games, but he's been unable to get that break. First serve percentage, yeah, I knew it was bad. Terrible for Tommy Paul. 46% is abysmal. It's not that great for Fritz either, but 67% of second serve points won. That's better than 55% for Paul. So Paul needs to make that first serve in. He's making far less than half the time. Winners to unforced, 5 winners, 7 unforced for Paul, 4-3 for Fritz. So that's the match stats so far. Fritz doing much better, but Paul just not being aggressive enough, hitting too many errors, Backhand, that goes out. Advantage to Paul here, though. Advantage to Paul. Do you not believe I'll be number one, you hater? No, I was talking about the Fritz part. Boo. I was talking about the Fritz part, Maynor. I was saying the Fritz is ridiculous. Fritz is not a top guy. It's insane. You could be number one, though. Advantage Fritz. That's in the net. Second serve from Fritz. It's a kick serve. Forehand Fritz. Oh, that's a bullet down the line. Both of these guys hit an absolute bullet forehands. Both these guys with bullet forehands. That's a big one. Might be even faster than the one that Paul hit earlier in the game. Not quite sure. Serve from Fritz out wide. That's a good serve. Advantage to Fritz. That's what it is, because you don't always have to get a lot of pace on your shots. Sometimes the placement is enough. By the way, guys, we're only at 11 likes so far. Can we get the likes up? We try to get to 15 or 20 likes. We greatly appreciate it, but I appreciate everybody who's joined in so far. I know you're my biggest fan. I never thought different. Maynor to win U.S. Open in her dreams. Why are you talking in third person, Maynor? 3-2 here for Fritz. Fritz holds. Fritz is 3 games away. Once again, Fritz is back into the top 10 in the world. If he wins here, he'll be about 60 points behind Demonor. Alex Demonor is also playing in Los Cabos. Demonor is playing a lot of tournaments, huh? I guess there's not going to be Los Cabos later in the year. He got the Los Cabos final. I'm pretty sure he has to play it to defend his points. Because he's not going to get that chance later in the year. This is his chance to defend those points. So I'm sure that's why he's playing. But he's going to have to defend final in Acapulco as well. Actually, a title in Acapulco right after that. So, man, Demonor's schedule is so full, man. Final in Rotterdam, and then potentially he's trying to get to the final of the next 2 weeks, 2 tournaments in the next 2 weeks. So crazy schedule for the Demon. Demon was the finalist. Yeah. Demon was the finalist. Yes, in Los Cabos against Steph. So he's going to be crazy. Fritz made semifinals. Where was that at? In Los Cabos? Is that right? Let me look. Los Cabos Open. Oh, you talked about Demonor. Yes. Wait, what do you mean? Fritz made semifinals where? I wasn't sure. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Because I'm a clone. Okay, got you. Interesting. I'm kidding, I assume. Fritz can beat de Minaur easily. Fritz can beat de Minaur easily. Okay. de Minaur is in a great stretch of form, but so is Taylor. Taylor has really picked up his level. Let's Australian Open quarterfinals, 4-set, 4-hour match against Djokovic, now title in Delray Beach. It's great signs. I want Fritz to win a major, man. I would love him to pick it up in one of these big tournaments. I'm not going to put that pressure on Fritz, especially if it's like it's not realistic at the moment, but in some time, I would love to see him go much deeper at a major. He's never even reached a major semifinal yet, and that's something that he absolutely needs to change. Backhand of Fritz, the backhand of Paul, backhand of Fritz. Forehand of Paul, inside out, the backhand of Fritz, backhand again of Paul, attacking that backhand. Fritz doing really well defensively off the backhand side. He's getting a lot of depth consistently off that backhand. That goes out from Paul, so love 15. Love 15 for Fritz. Love 15 for Fritz. Fritz can beat de Minaur without dropping a game. No, he cannot, Wilson. No, he cannot. It was a finalist in Los Cabos and Acapulco defending champion. Okay, got you. Where you said Fritz made semifinals, though. I was just confused about where. Where was that semifinal run? Fritz yet to make semifinals in the majors. Korda as well. He's yet to make a semifinal in the majors as well. Ben Shelton, Francis Tiafoe, Tommy Paul. You know, all of these guys have already made semis, but Fritz has yet to. Fritz and Korda both have yet to. Backhand. Even Christopher Eubanks was a set away. Actually, I guess Fritz was a set away as well, wasn't he? Against Rafa in the at Wimbledon. But yeah, anyway. Fritz was actually just 3 points away from a semifinal. And for beating Rafa at Wimbledon, which beating Rafa at Wimbledon, that's tough. So, you know, he was so close. And for Nadal was not his 100% self, but even beating Rafa at 85% would have been incredible. Backhand, returned it. That's a volley put away from Paul, 30-15. I love seeing Paul charging the net, coming to net more. That's what he needs to do. Paul needs to come to net more and attack that backhand. Really break down that backhand. It's been great so far, but, you know, sometimes there are fluctuations of a certain shot. He needs to keep attacking that backhand, coming to net. That's what Paul absolutely needs to do. Get it away from that forehand of Fritz. Semifinal of Acapulco when he vomited against Paul. Oh, okay, got you. Yes, yeah. So Fritz will need to defend there as well. Never made semifinals of Grand Slam. Fritz, yeah, exactly. Everyone had lucky draw to semifinal. Oh, between Shelton, Paul, and Tiafoe? I'd have to think about it. Tiafoe had Rublev in the U.S. Open. I remember that. So that's pretty difficult. But, you know, I understand, you know, in a quarterfinal, Rublev can kind of dip in the semifinal, in the quarterfinal stage. Who did Tommy Paul have? Paul had a pretty good draw at the Australian Open. I'll give you that. Who did Ben Shelton have at the U.S. Open, though? Still, you can only beat whoever's in front of you. Winning 5 matches in best of 5 format against the best players in the world, whoever you beat is always impressive. But I will give you that. Yeah, they had good draws. Who did Ben Shelton beat? I'm forgetting who Ben Shelton beat. He beat Tiafoe in the U.S. Open quarterfinals. I don't remember who he beat prior to that, though. Who did Shelton beat prior to that? Ben Shelton. Who'd he beat? Okay, so he beat Paul. So yeah, Shelton had a pretty good draw as well. I'll give you that. Yeah, they all had good draws to get there. That's fair, but still earned it, I think. But they did have good draws. Forehand, that's in the net. 3-3. 3-3. Who is Rublev's pigeon or whatever? Who beats him a lot? Djokovic. Djokovic. I guess Djokovic is everybody's pigeon. You know, he beats everybody. You know, but aside from that, Alcaraz I think is gonna. Rublev and Alcaraz haven't played a whole lot, but I just think Alcaraz is going to be impossible for Rublev to beat. Really, all of those guys. Medvedev likes playing Rublev, but I would say Alcaraz, Sinner, and Djokovic are Above him, I mean, he can beat everybody, you know? He can beat everybody aside from those guys, but Djokovic, it's going to be very tough for Rublev to beat him because I think Rublev played the best performance I've ever seen Rublev play, and he still lost in Paris last year, so in the Paris semifinals. Best performance I've ever seen Rublev have, bar none, and he lost the match. Forehand, the backhand of Fritz, cross court, the backhand of slice of Paul. Backhand of Fritz, cross court, the backhand of Paul. Inside out, it's great to the forehand. That goes out, love 15. See if Tommy Paul can make a bit of a stand here. Love 15. Hey, what's up, Max in the chat? What's up, Max? Appreciate you joining in. We got the Fritz versus Paul. Well, we're seeing if Paul can kind of pick something up here. He's been close in a lot of these Fritz service games, but he hasn't been able to quite cross that line. Love 15 here. Love 15. Rublev bad back then? Yeah, I mean, he was still good in 2022. He just picked it up in 2023, but he's been really consistent for a while, but no, that's fair. I mean, he did drop out of the top 10, I think, around that period of time. So, yeah, he definitely wasn't at his best. That's fair. Backhand, cross court to the backhand of Paul. Back to the backhand of Fritz. Fritz can't blink here. Squash shot, Fritz. Forehand to Paul. Down the line, backhand Fritz. Volley, Paul. Forehand Fritz runs to it. Can't get to it. That's a great volley of Paul. That's why I keep saying he's trying to do it. He's trying to come to net more. Paul is trying to come to net more. That's what he needs to do. That's what Tommy Paul needs to do. No, who Rublev beats a lot. Oh, I didn't understand. Who Rublev beats a lot. Interesting. I'd have to think about it. I'm sure there's a good answer to that. Let me look at the rankings. I'll get back to you. Try to think of a good name, if there is anybody. Serve down the tee is a good serve from Taylor, 1530. He doesn't want to let this go. Wants to keep the momentum going. One thing about momentum and Tommy Paul taking charge of this match is his level can really pick up too with his confidence levels. You know, confidence and your form really go hand in hand. So as he starts winning, I guess it's a bit obvious, but he can start really picking up in his level as well. And you never know from there. You never know from that point. Back into Paul. That goes out. Great play from Fritz. Very aggressive. Very, very aggressive. Good stuff. Good stuff. Alcaraz just lose to Jari, bro. No, I know. In Buenos Aires. Crazy. Crazy, Wilson. It's not a good loss. We'll see if Alcaraz can get back in Rio. But listen, Jari and Alcaraz, that's kind of an underrated rivalry. They played, the two other matches they played were also rather close, to be honest. Backing of Fritz, cross court, the backing of Paul, lob. Oh, he missed it. 40-30 for Fritz. Lob is a generally pretty low percentage play, to be honest, especially from way back in the court. Paul went for it. By the way, guys, please don't forget to like. We're sitting at 11 likes. Can we try to get to 15 likes? Appreciate everybody joining in. That'd be appreciated. Appreciate everybody joining in anyway. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Enjoying the stream. I try to think who Rublev needs to beat at quarterfinals to reach semifinals of a slam. Anybody outside of Alcaraz, Djokovic, Sinner, or Medvedev, you know? Anybody outside of those guys, I think now he has the game to beat him. But yeah, especially at Roland Garros, I think he should have it, to be honest. Roland Garros, maybe Wimbledon as well. I think those might be his best chances, in my opinion. Forehand chip. That's a good shot from Tommy Paul. He gets the deuce. Let's go, Tommy. Let's go, Tommy. Let's go, Tommy. Rublev and Fritz, what are their head-to-head so far? I reckon Rublev and Fritz, Rublev has a good record against Fritz. I think. Let me look at that. Rublev Fritz. I remember Rublev beat him in Monte Carlo. I think I remember a couple other times that they played and Rublev won. Rublev Fritz. Had gonna be a serve here. It's gonna be a serve here from. Gonna be a serve here from Taylor. Deuce. Big points here potentially for the smash forehand. Fritz inside out, back in there. Oh, for slide. Oh, he almost got it. That was almost sensational. But Paul made it. Put that in the compilations of almost amazing tennis shots. But it's not quite there. A great point. That was always going to be tough for Paul. It was always going to be tough for Paul to get to that one. No, actually, Fritz, I think, has a winning head-to-head against Rublev. I didn't even realize that was the case. Let me see. Or no. Okay. Hold up. Let me see. Forehand, inside in, forehand to Paul. The backhand to Fritz. Backhand slice of Paul. The backhand to Fritz. Backhand to Paul. Backhand slice of Fritz. Forehand to Paul. Forehand to Fritz. Chipped. Forehand to Paul. He's attacking. Forehand Fritz for a pass. Oh, half volley. Right from the net. Paul. Fritz almost gets it. Top of the tape. Top of the net. Right into the top of the net. Very close, though. Yeah, Fritz actually has a winning head-to-head against Rublev, so definitely not him. Definitely not him. Wouldn't be surprised if Ego wins in Dubai. Yeah, well, she's coming off of good momentum. I need to take a look at the draw again, but I kind of reckon she won't. I kind of reckon that she will not. Anthony, you're kind of lagging. Okay, sorry about that. Hopefully it's better now. It's fine now. Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been earlier in the stream. It was a little bit bad, which is not good. Outcrash just lose to Nicholas Jarry, bro. Yeah. I was just live on Twitch. I am Wilson Tennis. Okay, I appreciate it, Curry. Appreciate everybody watching on Twitch and on YouTube as well. Everybody's joining in. Forehand Paul. The backhand of Fritz. Backhand slice of Paul. The backhand of Fritz. Big moments in this match. Forehand Paul. Backhand of Fritz. That's too good from Tommy Paul. Let's go, Tommy. Let's go, Tommy. Let's make this closer. Let's see what he can do. Let's see what Paul can do. I hope Iko will lose. Jesus, Manor, you are direct. That's fine, though. I mean, everybody has their favorites. I never... Whoever you like or don't like, it's fine. I think it's good energy. Whatever, it makes a fan experience to tennis. As long as you're not sending personal stuff to the players, I think that's good in sports to have kind of, favorites, least favorites, people you're cheering for, you're not. To be honest, Rublev should have beaten Cilic and Tiafoe at 2022 quarterfinals. Yeah, Tiafoe was always tough with where Rublev's form was at, and also Tiafoe just played unbelievable. I think Tiafoe likes playing against Rublev as well. But against Cilic, yes. 5,000%. He should have beaten Marin Cilic. That was a bad loss. Cilic was I feel like the bad loss that he had during that time. I will say, yeah, what's up? I don't like her. Yeah, that's fair. That's fine. If Fritz had Ben Shelton US Open track, he would win the whole tournament without dropping a set. Okay. Deuce. Curry, I think that you're a Fritz fan. Just taking a gander here. Just taking a bit of a guess here. Deuce here, 3-3. Serve, backhand of Paul. Forehand of Fritz. The backhand of Paul. The backhand of Fritz. Backhand rally. Backhand Paul. Can he make a stride here? That's in the net. Paul has got to take advantage on this break point. I believe that's called good. Out from Paul. And there was a Hawkeye replay, but it is out. Advantage for Fritz. Advantage for Taylor Fritz. Fritz, by the way, sitting at number 10 in the world. Tommy Paul sitting at number 14. Neither guy is going to climb up to do with this tournament, but we'll see anyway. If still, either way, they can get closer to the top spots ahead of him. And it's only harder to climb up when you're higher in the rankings like both these guys are. That's out. Deuce for Paul. Deuce for Paul. Very, very long service game here. Must be over 10 minutes. It's got to be over 10 minutes. I'll leave for cleaning myself. Don't miss me, fans. All right. See you later, Maynor. Appreciate you joining in. Let me know in the chat, by the way. Do you think that Tommy Paul is going to reach the top 10 in the world this year? Let me know in the chat. Do you think Tommy Paul reaches the top 10 in the world this year? Let me know in the chat. Backhand of Paul into the backhand of Fritz. Forehand of Paul. Inside into the forehand of Fritz. Forehand of Paul. That's big to the backhand of Fritz on defense. That's in the net. This is about the 5,000th break point that Paul has had in this game. By the way, it's quite funny. They've already updated the ATP rankings for this week, and this final hasn't even been played yet. Because anybody who doesn't know, this final was scheduled to play yesterday. We even had a stream set up, but it was postponed. And this final was postponed to today. So, yeah, anyway, that's what that is. Advantage here for Paul. He's got a break point. Kick serve out wide. That's in the net. Another just break point thrown away from Tommy Paul. Back at deuce. But yeah, the rankings were updated because neither of these guys can climb up in the rankings even if they win this match. Tommy Paul is way behind Dimitrov, who's at number 13 in the world. And Taylor Fritz is just a little bit too far behind Demonor, who's at number 9. Which, by the way, congrats Demonor. That's a career high ranking for him. So backhand Paul, that's in the net. Advantage for Fritz. Advantage for Fritz. Forehand of Fritz. This game is just never, ever ending, is it? Great question, Anthony, for Tommy Paul. I wonder if he can reach further rounds of the upcoming tournaments. Yes. I think him doing well at the big tournaments consistently is going to be a big thing for Tommy Paul. Let me look at Tommy Paul for a minute. His best results at the Masters and the Majors. Because, he's had good kind of deep results at 250s, 500s. Even if he doesn't reach the finals, he's consistently been reaching semis, quarterfinals. But how's he done at the Masters and the Majors? I'll look at that after this game. Backhand Fritz, the backhand of Paul. Backhand Fritz, the forehand of Paul. Backhand Fritz, the backhand slice of Paul. Backhand Fritz, backhand Paul. That's in the net. Advantage for Fritz. Advantage for Taylor. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of changing my tune with Tommy Paul. I'm gonna say yes. I'll say Paul will reach the top 10 in the world at some point this year. I don't think he'll be year-end top 10, but why not? I'll say he'll get to top 10. Let me know your thoughts. I think a lot of it will depend on his results at the big tournaments, though. The Masters, the Majors. It's way deep on the baseline. Forehand to Fritz. The backhand of Paul. Backhand Fritz. Paul, very windy, obvious. Forehand to Fritz. That's again in the net. I don't know how many deuces we've had now or how long this game is. This game is never, ever ending. This game is never, ever ending. For real. I really wonder how many deuces we've had at this point. Crazy stuff. Never-ending game between the two American top 15 players. One of them trying to cross the line in Florida. They're trying to flourish in Florida. Let's see if they can. That goes out from Tommy Paul. Advantage to Taylor Fritz. Can he finally put a close on this game? Can he finally put a close on this game? Let's see. By the way, this was deuce number 7 in this game. This was already the 7th deuce in this game, and they're having some long rallies as well. The all-court athletic Tommy Paul trying to take on the big serve, big forehand Taylor Fritz. Let's see who can get the lead here. It's a tug of war. This game could prove to be crucial. Advantage for Taylor Fritz. He's at the line. First serve goes wide. Second serve. Both guys try to get it to the other guy's backhand. Very, very windy. In fact, Taylor Fritz taking some time to wait for it to calm down. Serve from Fritz. The backhand of Paul. Backhand Fritz. Backhand of Paul. Backhand of Fritz. The backhand of Paul. The wind is crazy right now. It's really getting the ball away from him. Backhand Fritz. The backhand of Paul sliced. Backhand Fritz. Forehand of Paul. Backhand Fritz. Forehand Paul cross court. Forehand of Fritz. Backhand Paul. Backhand Fritz. Backhand slice Paul. Backhand backhand. Again backhand. Cross court on that deuce on that ad side. Again a backhand Fritz. That's in the net. Deuce number 8. This game is never going to end. What's the record? We're going to go for the record. I think it was 13 deuces at I think it was 13 deuces in that Wimbledon final between Alcaraz and Djokovic. But they're getting there. Deuce number 8. I believe it's deuce number 8, which is crazy. Deuce number 8. Long, long game. Long, long game. Backhand Fritz comes to the net. That's too good off the backhand. That could give Fritz some confidence. Maybe the confidence needed to kind of close out this game. Let's see if he can. Let's see if he can, Taylor. Advantage. Let's see if he can. Who is going to pick up this title in Delray Beach? Who's going to pick up this title in Delray Beach? You know, with this final happening on a Monday, it's never ideal. I'm sure a lot of people are kind of at work and doing their jobs at the moment, are not able to watch. Always better when the finals can be played on a Sunday. That goes out. Taylor Fritz with a long stare at his box. Stone cold from Taylor Fritz after 8 deuces. And after, I'm sure, 15-minute plus game, surely. We're at 4-3. Taylor Fritz is 1 game away from the 7th title of his career. You know, 7th title is no joke. 7th title is no joke for Taylor Fritz. That's good. That's really, really good. Part of the reason he's been able to get to 7 titles is because he's so good at finals. He's so good in finals. He's good in the crunch moments. Taylor Fritz has a winning mentality. If you don't see the underlying skill that Taylor Fritz has, even with the weaknesses he has, how hard he works, and the big weapons that he does have. And listen, in Australia, here in Delray Beach, the backhand is being pretty decent. So, you know, I would not underestimate Taylor Fritz, personally. That's my personal opinion. Everyone will have different ones. Okay, I want to look at Tommy Paul, though. So, Tommy Paul. So, this is the 5th final that Tommy Paul has reached in his career. 4 of those finals have come in ATP 250s. The 500 final that he reached was in Acapulco this time last year, where he beat Taylor Fritz in the semifinals in a pretty epic kind of war of attrition there. So, but Tommy Paul's performance timeline in the big tournaments. This is the big thing I wanted to take a look at. Hey, what's up, Nicholas? Good to have you. A familiar name in the chat. This is the thing that I want to look at. Tommy Paul. So here is what Tommy Paul has done. Tommy Paul in Masters tournaments has reached 2 quarterfinals and 1 semifinal. Those 2 quarterfinals came in 2022. The 1 semifinal came in 2023. Outside of that, nearly always 3rd round or before. Nearly always 3rd round or before. Not even making a whole lot of 4th rounds. That's kind of what's happening so far. By the way, Paul back at the line to serve at love 15. Big moments in this match. But in Canada, in the quarterfinals, Tommy Paul lost to Dan Evans. That was a fantastic match. One of the best of the year, in my opinion. And in Paris, Tommy Paul lost to Tsitsipas. So that's not that bad of a loss. And semifinals of Canada last year, he lost to Alcaraz, I believe. I believe he lost to Alcaraz in Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken, last year. I believe that's right, in the semifinals. Or no, it was Canada. What am I saying? It wasn't to it was not to Alcaraz. Canada, he lost it, that's right, to Yannick Sinner. He lost to Sinner. So his quarterfinal losses have not been that bad, but he's scarcely making them. He's scarcely making them. He needs to make more semifinals and finals of the big tournaments. By the way, great serve from Paul out wide. 30-15. The serving has been better from Paul in this set. He's making more first serves in, and that's been very good. He's also getting it to the backhand more. But he's still switching it up. Very good. That one was to the forehand. But yeah, Paul wants to be able to make more quarterfinals of Masters and of majors. Even if he doesn't make semifinals and finals, that would be a big thing for him to be able to move to the quarterfinal stage. Even if not every time, consistently making quarterfinals. That'd be a big thing for him. 30-all. That's a forehand out from Paul. Fritz has played a great match to this point. Very clutch in the point when he needs it. Even though he wasn't always clutch in the last game on the game points, he saved about 4 or 5 break points. So let's see what Fritz can do to kind of close this out. He's looking for the 7th title of his career, and his 6th title in 6 finals played. His last 6 finals. Let's see what he can do. Backhand Paul into forehand of Fritz. Or sorry, fifth title in his last 5 finals. Backhand Fritz, backhand Paul, forehand of Fritz, forehand of Paul. Forehand of Fritz, backhand Paul, down the line, forehand of Fritz. That's a great forehand from Fritz. I was just about to say, the wind is making it very hard to really hit through the court. That's why outdoor hard courts, by the way, is so different from indoor hard courts. You know, you have to get used to different conditions, wind, etc., etc. Also, having a roof makes the courts play quicker usually. But outside of that, the conditions, you have to get used to a lot of conditions. It's very different playing outdoor to indoor. I mean, it's similar, but it's different. Backhand, that goes out. Or that goes out on the return from Fritz. So that's a good serve from Paul. Deuce. We're at deuce here. We are at deuce. I'm back. All right, cool. We're at deuce here at 3-4. Paul serving. Serve down the tee. That goes out. Second serve. Second serve, kick serve, back forehand to Fritz, the forehand to Paul. That goes out. That goes out from Tommy Paul. Fritz is so close to putting a nail in this. He's at break point. If Fritz wins this point, I don't see a comeback here for Tommy Paul. 6-2, 4-3, advantage for Taylor Fritz. One good point on return. That's all it takes. These are the kind of points that these guys practice for every day, day in, day out, to be able to perform and peak at these kind of points. Let's see what Fritz has. Serve down the tee. That goes out. Second serve. Serve here from Paul. Kick serve back to Fritz. Back to Paul. Forehand Fritz. Drop shot. Back at Paul. Down the line. Oh, he makes it. What a shot. I thought he went a little bit low percentage. He goes for the outside of the line. He makes it. There's a close call here. Okay, so it was on the line, but still. Right splat on the line. Deuce here. Great shot from Tommy Paul moving forward. Great shot from Tommy Paul. Big game right here. Exactly. It's peaking. We're peaking. Deuce here. This is a big, big game. Tommy Paul jumping up. Let's see what he has in him. Big game for Tommy Paul. Serve. That's in the net. Second serve. Second serve is a kick serve. Forehand to Fritz. Cross court. Oh, what a shot from Taylor. I believe he made it. Yeah, with about half an inch in. So advantage to Fritz. Advantage to the world number 10. Former world number 5. 26-year-old California native. First serve goes wide from Paul. Hits the tape, goes out. Second serve. Kick serve. That's a good second serve. Well deep of the court. That's a better return. Also deep of the court. Forehand, Paul. Inside out. Back to Fritz. Chance for Fritz here. Forehand inside out. Back in Fritz. Forehand Paul. Back into Fritz. Back to Paul. We're going ad side to ad side. Cross court. Slice to the backhand. Back into backhand. Paul runs around forehand. Inside in. Forehand to Fritz. Cross court. Forehand to Paul. Down the line. Back into Fritz. Forehand to Paul. Forehand to Fritz. The forehand to Paul. He comes to net. Back in Fritz for a pass. He gets it in. Forehand Fritz to win it. 5-3. Fritz gets the game. He gets the break, and what a fashion to do it in as well. Wow, with the form that Tommy Paul is in, a 6-2, 6-3 victory for Fritz would be mighty impressive. That would be mighty impressive. What a statement for Taylor Fritz. Dare I say, 2022 Taylor Fritz is back. Better not have a question about it. He's in business, and he might be even better than ever. He's playing really well. He's playing really, really well. His defense is looking good. His backhand's looking good. He's come to net a couple times. That's not looked that bad. You know, Fritz, he's improving. I'd say he's a guy to watch. He's looking for another title, is Fritz. By the way, he's looking for a 7th title of his career. He's looking for his 5th title on hard courts. Not that many players have won 5 hardcore titles. That would be pretty great. He is a great hardcore player, is Taylor. Very, very good hardcore player. You know, he did well on clay course last year too, though. He really did well on clay courts too. He himself said, listen, I think I could do well on clay as well. He got to the semifinals of Monte Carlo, went 3 sets with Rublev. And, on grass courts, great potential on grass courts. He's gotten a couple of grass titles. Forehand inside out, Fritz is 2 points away. Fritz, Fritz is the guy. He's a great guy for the Americans. I think Fritz is the best American player in the world at the moment, whether that stays true for the future. I hope he keeps improving because maybe this is his time. He's 2 points away from a title here. You said former like it was a decade ago, it was last year. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Raynor. Former world number 5, Taylor Fritz. Serve here from Fritz. Serve for Fritz. He's 2 points away from a title. Back into Paul. Back to Fritz. Cross court. Oh, it's too good. Advantage for Fritz. 40 love for Fritz. 40 love. What a performance from Fritz. I don't think Fritz has dropped a single set in this whole tournament. I don't think Fritz has dropped a set. Let me look at Fritz's route to get here. He beat Nuno Borges in the first round. That's a tough first round. 7-6, 6-4. Then he beat Hijikata 6-3, 6-3. 7-6, 6-2 over Giron. And now he's trying to take out Tommy Paul. Forehand inside out. Backhand to the backhand of Fritz. Backhand slice of Paul. The backhand of Fritz. Backhand of Paul to the backhand of Fritz. Backhand of Paul. Forehand of Fritz. Forehand of Paul. That's in the net. Let's go, Taylor. What a performance in Delray Beach. What a title. Taylor Fritz's first title since Atlanta last year in July last year. Big hug between the two guys. I know well they're two good friends. Taylor Fritz, 6-2, 6-3 over the Dallas champion. Great run from Tommy Paul to get to 2 finals in a row. But listen, so impressive from Taylor. 6-2, 6-3. Really, really good performance. 71% of first serve points won. Taylor Fritz did exactly what he needed to do. I would watch out for Taylor Fritz this year, man. By the way, Fritz looking at his box like this. Like, who won this tournament? Who won this tournament? Fritz is back in business. He deserved a title after the run that he had in Australian Open. All right, I appreciate everybody who joined in. Guys, please don't forget to like the stream if you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like the stream. If you did enjoy it, would be greatly appreciated. It helps out the channel, helps out Quality Shot Tennis. And I appreciate everybody who joined in. Don't forget to subscribe if new as well. Pretty disappointing final, but at least Noah threw up. GG. Yeah, it wasn't the highest level final. I'm not going to lie, but Fritz gets it done. He still played pretty well, did Fritz. It was impressive. He was good in the close moments. Great call. Yeah, I appreciate successful title defense. Yes, second Delray Beach title. Listen, not that many people have won 7 titles. Like, that's impressive. 7 titles is impressive. Like, I don't know. Let me look at, like, former American players and how many titles they won. Taylor Fritz is still going to win a lot more titles, by the way, but he's already won 7. Reminds me of Andy Roddick. Roddick was fantastic in finals as well. Let me tell you who wasn't very good in finals. Marty Fish. Marty Fish was not very good in finals. And he went 6-14 in finals. 6 finals won, 14 lost. So Taylor Fritz has already won more titles than Marty Fish. That is a great stat for Taylor Fritz. Marty Fish was fantastic. Taylor Fritz has already won more titles than Taylor Fritz. That's pretty impressive, to be honest, from Taylor. Then let me look at other American players. Like let me look at Ister. Ister won a lot of titles, so I'm sure Ister will have more. I think he's at like 16. I think Ister is at like 16, which is very impressive. But let's see. Fritz has a lot of time to add on. Fritz has a lot of time to add on titles. Yeah, Ister has 16 titles. 31 finals, by the way. John Ister is underrated. But who's another guy? Jack Sock. Jack Sock, for example. Then I'll look at James Blake and then I'll kind of call it quits. But, 7 titles is a lot of titles. Not a lot of people have 7 titles, really. So that's already very good. He only just turned 26 in October. So he's got time, this Taylor. He's got time. I would not count him out. I really would not count him out. Yeah, Jack Sock won 4 titles. Similar to Ister and to Jack Sock, by the way. They both won 1 Masters title. Marty Fish didn't win a single one. Let's see if Taylor Fritz can win 2. He would be the first guy in a while to win two Masters. winning Masters and winning multiple Masters titles has been very scarce in tennis recently. And then also looking at James Blake. How many titles did Blake win back in the day? Blake won 10 titles. So listen, Taylor Fritz is doing fantastic. Already won 7 titles. I'm sure he'll win a lot more. Shout out Taylor. They're having an on-court interview with him at the moment. By the way, Fritz saying that he's getting a lot of confidence going into the North American hardcourt swing in Indian Wells, Miami from this tournament. He always plays great in Indian Wells, so watch out for Taylor in Indian Wells. He says that there are even fiscal concerns when we pulled out a Labor Cup, when we pulled the Davis Cup over stuff. I had questions coming into Australian Open, but yeah, since Australian Open, Fritz has been on something. I'd watch out for him in Indian Wells. Fritz always picks it up. Great for Fritz's confidence. Fritz is well on my radar at the moment. Appreciate everybody who joined in. Once again, don't forget to subscribe for more streams. Don't forget to like the video if you did enjoy it. It was 6-2, 6-3. Fritz gets the win over the American compatriot who was Tommy Paul. Fritz was the first seed, Tommy Paul the third seed. Paul never brought his best level. I didn't think Fritz played his absolute best. He never really needed to, but he did play a fantastic match. He played well in the pressure moments, and Fritz gets the win in Delray Beach. See you guys at the next one.
world.